ask you 3 questions, and then we are going to try and answer those questions. So, first of all, Megillat Esther is a riddle, and there are 3 questions that have to do with that. So the first one is, you could see in a source 1 that what does the name Purim mean? Why is Purim called Purim? Does anyone know?
It's like destiny.
Destiny.
Like destiny.
The word for
Destiny.
for God is Pur in Persian, I think.
That's right.
Also in the Tanakh, in the Megillah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's called because Haman, he threw the law, the Pur, on which date he should exterminate the Jewish people.
Mm-hmm.
That's from where it comes from.
That's right. So it says in the Megillah, therefore they called these days Purim, from the word Pur. And then, as you said, Pur is a Persian word for lottery. And then Haman, he threw the lottery in order to determine which date is appropriate to murder the Jewish people. So, what question could we ask about the name Purim? That's right. This seems like an insignificant detail in the Megillah. So, why Purim? Like, you could call the festival any different name, but if I would choose an appropriate name for the festival, I would call it perhaps the Festival of Esther, like the Megillat Esther, or the Festival of the Saving of the Jewish people. But why Purim? What do you think?
That's a question, Rabbi, because I would think that the best name to be here would be Chag HaBenahapachu.
That's right.
Everything was good for the Jews, and nowhere flip. It wasn't good for the Jews.
Everything changed.
How was it changing? It's changing fine.
So why Purim? Why do you think Purim? What is so special about Purim? Because the name of something is the essence. So, how do you explain this? Has anyone got any idea? Yeah.
Thing, right? With the Purim, right? It's like they try to determine something. But the story shows you like that Hashem determines everything.
Okay, very good. That is a beautiful.
That's why we don't see the name like we don't see it indirectly like prophets or like miracles. We see like just like in the normal reality society, like in the way how people interact with each other. That's how Hashem guides everything. Like yes, so it could be like they not being killed.
Beautiful explanation, Michael, right? So, Michael says that lottery, Purim, in a Persian, seems as if it is by chance, but if you know that Hashem stands behind it and that everything happens for a reason, this actually is the essence of the festival. So a beautiful explanation. Thanks for sharing it. So this is the first question, and now let's see the second question. The second question is even stranger. In the Jerusalem Talmud, you could see in the source 2, it says, Rabbi Yochanan said, the books of prophets and writings and Nevi'im Uktuvim Atidim libatel. They are going to be cancelled in the future.
Yeah.
וחמשת ספרי תורה, the Torah, of course, the 5 books of the Torah will, of course, never be cancelled. Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish said, also the scroll of Esther, Megillat Esther, and laws, it means the laws of the old Torah, will not be cancelled. Okay? So, what question could you ask about the Jerusalem Talmud?
Why is there going to be any cancellation whatsoever? Like whatsoever?
Yeah.
Why are we cancelling? Why are we taking away, excluding, diminishing?
That's right. And if you have to cancel something, perhaps Megillat Esther would be the first book to cancel, because Hashem's name isn't even mentioned once. And there also was a huge debate if to include the book of Esther in the Tanakh.
It's called a Megiddo. It's called a letter.
That's right.
We don't call it Sefer Esther. It's a Megiddo. It's a letter.
That's right. And most of the book of Esther, it talks about a King Achashverosh and his parties, but it seems that these events aren't connected to the Jewish people. So why is Megillat Esther so important that all of the books of the prophets, Isaiah, Job, all of the books of the prophets, the great books of the prophets, they are going to be cancelled, but Megillat Esther is never going to be cancelled. So, why?
Are only required, are only necessary when they're in effect. By this time, they won't be needed because they will have either been fulfilled or not fulfilled. Not this there, it's not a prophecy, therefore it has no staying power.
Actually, it is prophecy, you know?
Very good.
It is prophecy. There's one prophecy in there. What's going to happen with the Nuremberg trials? Elaborate.
That's a stretch.
You see him elaborate. I'll send you the video.
So it's a beautiful explanation, Yeshua. So, furthermore, we're going to see another midrash that strengthens the question, okay? So it says in the midrash of Mishlei, of the Proverbs, it says, שכל המועדים עתידים בטלים, וימי הפורים אינם בטלים לעולם, שנאמר, וימי הפורים האלה לא יעברו מתוך היהודים. All the festivals will be cancelled in the future. However, the days of Purim will never be cancelled. As it says in the book of Esther, and these days of Purim should never cease among the Jews. So, what question could you ask about this?
That's not true. If you call it Pesach, Yom Kippur, Rosh Hashanah, all of these are still going to be there.
Pesach might not be there, actually. No? We might get a new Pesach.
Elaborate, what do you mean by that?
Because Pesach is the Geulah of Mitzrayim, but there's going to be another Geulah when we're getting once the Messiah comes.
So, of course, we are talking about the very far away future, okay? We aren't talking about anything closer before the Mashiach comes. It is talking about the far away future. But even so, what is so special about Purim that even if all of the festivals are going to be cancelled, Purim, no, we are still going to have the gragas in our hand. We are still going to celebrate Purim. We are still going to eat Humintations.
I love Humintashen.
That's right. Humintashen is the...
They're so expensive. It's an issue.
Because, maybe because like...
They're worth weight in gold, yes.
Maybe because like what he said, like the prophetic aspect. Maybe like because the stories about the Jews defeating Amalek, and Amalek is the whole sum of the whole,
Mhm.
or the people, the evil side. So that's the whole thing. What it's about when Mashiach comes, right? So I can see like the connection being like there's the party, like the event celebrating this, like
Mhm.
the final redemption, because that's Amalek about, I guess.
Very interesting. Yep.
But I don't, yeah, but I don't know if you try to hint in that direction.
Mhm. So it's a very interesting idea. Michael is saying that it says that there are three mitzvahs that one has to do when one comes into the land of Israel. Have to nominate a king, and then a fight Amalek, and then to build the temple. So Michael is saying that since the war against Amalek is so important, and Purim talks about battling Amalek, so perhaps that is the reason that Purim is always going to remain. So it's a good option. However, there are three stages. There is also the building of the temple, and after one battles Amalek, and there aren't any more battles needed, so according to your explanation, one wouldn't need the festival of Purim anymore. So therefore there has to be something deeper. So this is the second question, okay? And now the third question, the third question, which we're going to see it today, that it says about Mount Sinai. It says Vayitzvu betachtit ha'ar, that Am Yisrael stood at the edge of Har Sinai, and Amar Rav Dimi. This is in the Gemara, in the Talmud. מלמד שכפה הקדוש ברוך הוא עליהם את ההר כגיגית. That Am Yisrael were forced to receive the Torah. Okay? And then the Talmud says, wait, if the people of Israel were forced to receive the Torah, so it means that one could say that one doesn't have to keep the Torah because he was forced to receive it. So the Talmud says, okay, it is true that Am Yisrael at that time, at that point in history, were forced to receive the Torah, but Am Yisrael, the people of Israel, at the time of Purim, received the Torah freely. They were not forced at all. As it says, Kimu v'kiblu Yehudim, that the Jews accepted everything that all of the mitzvahs. So the question is, what is the question? What is the obvious question?
It wasn't voluntarily. They had Haman's metaphorical knife to their throat.
Mm-hmm.
Not a mountain, but therefore, how can you say that it's voluntary?
That's a good point. That's a very good point, Shua. Kol hakavod. And Shua is asking, it isn't voluntarily at all. They didn't receive a Torah from their free will because they enjoyed the party of Achashverosh at the beginning. Okay, it isn't something that what was so bad about enjoying the party of Achashverosh? Because when he was celebrating the destruction of the temple, because he took out all of the vessels of the temple, and then if you pay attention, when that's right. When they read the Megillah, so the Baal Koreh reads that verse in the trope of Eicha. Vechelim, Michelim, Shonim. Like it's a very sad trope, because but it is the Hachashverosh celebrated the destruction of the temple.
Rabbi, the thing is in Mount Sinai, the Jews said Na'aseh v'nishma before Hashem did this.
Right, that's a good question. Right,
So in one sense, they did do it voluntarily, but in another sense, they didn't. But now, with the Purim story, not related to Mount Sinai, they got the Torah, they finished up that voluntariness. They finished up that half that wasn't voluntary. There was one half that was voluntary, and one half that wasn't in Sinai. But now, without Sinai, you got the other half, the voluntariness. Kimu v'kibla Yehudim.
Very nice. So the question is, why did the people of Israel accept the Torah freely, specifically at the time of Purim? From all of history, why? What is so special about Purim?
Right before Pesach.
They should have accepted it freely before Pesach.
I'm saying that could be a catalyst to it. They remember what Hashem did to them in Mitzrayim, for them in Mitzrayim, therefore they re-accept the Torah.
Wow.
They're saved.
I never thought of that. Sorry.
Very nice.
You said in Hasidic
So, we have got 3 questions which we have to go on a journey in order to solve. The first question is, what is the meaning of Purim? Why the lottery thing, okay? And the second question is, why are all of the festivals going to be cancelled except for Purim? What is so special about Purim? And the third question that we asked just now, why did the people of Israel accept the Torah freely, specifically on Purim? Okay? So these are the 3 questions. And we're going to learn one very important foundation in Emunah, in the Jewish thought, that is going to answer all the questions. Okay? So the foundation is that nature is a miracle. Now, one could think that nature is nature, okay? There is nothing miraculous about nature. But Judaism teaches us that also nature is a miracle. And that Hashem actually makes the world work every moment. And if we could zoom out on the theory of evolution, for example, and the Big Bang, so one can explain things from a natural perspective, that the world appeared because of the explosive of the gases in the Big Bang, and that it happened by chance. Okay, and that then life force evolved throughout millions and thousands of years until this day, and all that happened by chance. But one can also look at everything, and one could say, wait, how could it be that the Big Bang just happened by chance? And some people say that the theory of evolution and the age of the universe, it actually contradicts Judaism completely. But the view of Rabbi Kook is that also the theory of evolution, and also saying that if the world is older than 5,782 years, it does not contradict Judaism at all. It doesn't contradict the Torah. Because, yes?
I find the very good way to understand what is nature is a miracle. For example, if I go to meditate in the meadows and the fields and the grasslands, you got to really take in the beautiful nature, beautiful ecosystems, the cycles. You see the trees, the birds.
Creation.
You see the beauty of nature. You see the Creator. You see,
That's right.
You see, for example, someone created a plane, will tell you about the Creator. Someone created a chair, will tell you how much knowledge he needs to have. So the Creator, who has the infinite knowledge, the one who's all powerful, which is Hakadosh Baruch Hu, you go into the meadows and the fields and the grasslands and you start meditating and you see beautiful nature. How won't you have Emunah on Hashem? How won't you know and know with a certain certainty that Hashem exists? That's what I feel.
Beautiful.
I've been to the meadows, I've been to the fields.
That is great. The beautiful of what you said, Nisim. So this is exactly how Abraham, the Hebrew, had discovered Hashem, because at the time everyone worshipped idols, and Abraham looked at nature, and then from nature he discovered Hashem, and he said, how could it be that everything happened by chance? So
Obviously, you can't.
yes?
I think that one interesting point about Megillat Esther related to this is that it recycles many of the ideas that we read in the Torah. So yesterday actually I was studying and I was looking at this and I noticed that once Haman comes into the story, the very concept of Amalek, and we read from there, the events that take place between Haman and King Ahasuerus are almost identical to the events that take place between Pharaoh, who is like an analogy to Ahasuerus, and fascinatingly enough, Joseph.
Oh, wow.
We can read this in Miketz, Parashat Miketz. You can read for yourself, see all the events that happen with. I won't go into detail, but even Pharaoh removing the ring from his hand and putting it on Joseph's hand, etc.
Wow, interesting. Wow.
There's many ideas here, but what I really want to say actually is that a fundamental difference is that in the story of Pharaoh and Joseph, Pharaoh calls Joseph to him from prison. And actually, Pharaoh makes a fascinating statement. He says, could we find another like him, a man in whom is the Spirit of God? He's referring to Joseph, which, just to refer to his Psuk Lamed Tet, which is interesting. Lot, it's the first time I think we see the concept of allotment of land in the story of Lot and Abraham. But eventually Joseph said something along the lines of, it's not, I can't find it here, but I don't know exactly where it is, but he says something along the lines of, it's not me who's interpreting the dream, it is all Hashem. And there are two dreams, of course, Pharaoh had, which is analogous in a way to the two parties that.
Oh wow, interesting.
But the concept here that I want to explain very quickly is that when we look at King Ahasuerus and Haman, we see a similar interaction. King Ahasuerus says, who is it that deserves my honor or my blessing? He actually says, what would the person who deserves my blessing, what should that person receive? He's calling him Haman. And my interpretation is the first question you ask yourself is, who is that person supposed to be? And indeed, Haman says that. Haman says, it is me who should receive your blessing. Who else? Right? So conceptually, there's a very important difference. Pharaoh says, can we find another man in whom is the Spirit of God? Ahasuerus says, isn't it my blessing that is the most important thing in the world? And likewise, Joseph says, it's not me, it's all Hashem. It's all these little things that happen.
Wow.
Whereas Haman says, I am the one who deserves the blessing because I'm the most important here.
Wow.
He feels like he is like God. So,
Chazak,
that's the
Chazak Ubaruch.
listen to that.
Wow.
Beautiful, beautiful. This is a
Idea.
Wow, I never heard of this.
this is called a yechidush. A yechidush is something extraordinary that you now link together two parts of the Tanakh in an amazing way. I never thought of any connection between the stories, but you connected it in a beautiful way. You should write it. It is beautiful. Moshe, kol hakavod.
Wow.
Yeah. One of the interesting points that you said that actually Haman thinks that he's in charge of everything, but Yosef, in the story that you said, he actually says that everything comes from Hashem. So the Ramban teaches us, and this is something very fundamental that the Ramban, the Nachmanides, says, but he says that as there are miracles that are seen, great miracles, but there are also hidden miracles. But one should know that if the revealed miracles, like the parting of the Red Sea and all the great miracles in the Torah, they teach us on the hidden miracles. The hidden miracles are in nature. That's right.
Sunset.
I love sunrise. To meditate what right in the sunrise?
We think it is a natural, but also natural is a miracle. And then as David said that Yosef believes that everything comes from Hashem, and also the insight that he had to discover the dreams, the meaning of the dreams. So everything comes from Hashem. And Amalek, which is a Haman, believes that everything happens by chance. So it's a very nice connection that you gave, and I think it's a very true connection. So the Ramban, you could see the Ramban in a source number 5. This is one of the famous quotes of the Nachmanides. And he says that one has to believe that everything that happens to us, it does not happen by chance. It happens from Hashem. And this is something very, very important that if one asks oneself in everyday life, how do you connect to Hashem? How do you connect to Hashem?
By studying Torah, no?
That's right.
By meditating.
By you study Torah, by
Doing mitzvahs.
tefillah, by
Meditating.
prayer. There are many ways that you are connected to Hashem. One way is to listen. What Hashem is trying to tell us. And learning Torah enables us to listen to Hashem. Prayer, Rabbi Jonathan Sachs said that a prayer, it is that when we speak to Hashem. And the study of Torah is even greater than prayer, because but we listen to Hashem. And the studying of the Torah it enables us to listen very carefully and to see that all the events that happen in our lives, they are Hashem speaking to us. Anything that happens to us is actually a message from Hashem. And the question is, if we are aware enough to understand it and to ask ourselves, this happened to me. What is Hashem trying to tell me about this event? How can I grow from this event? How can I become a better person? How could I become closer to Hashem because of this event that happened? And so, this is something that also Rabbi Akiva used to say, that everything that happens in this world, it happens from Hashem. It happens from the good of Hashem. Everything that Hashem does, it happens for the good. At the end, we are going to see the good. We sometimes can't see the good at the time, but at the end, at a larger perspective, we are going to be able to see how everything happens for the best. So, when one looks at the world from a perspective of a faith, so one understands that nature is actually a hidden miracle. And this is something interesting that Rabbi Shneur Zalman Miladi, who wrote the book of Tanya of a Chabad, so he said that Elokim, that the word Elokim, with a hey, of course, it is the same numerical value as Hateva. Hateva is nature. It is both 86. So, if one understands that what is behind nature is actually Hashem, so one understands many things. Yeah?
So that reminds me of, I read once in a shiur online on YouTube by Rabbi explaining that in the Reshit, the first three words are Reshit bara Elokim, and that there's no comma or punctuation there. So one could also read it like Reshit bara Elokim, as in the beginning there was created Elokim, nature. And that reminds me of it. So,
Wow, very nice.
just,
Very nice, yeah.
Yeah, everything that was bara, it's Elokim. Meaning it's Teva, it's nature.
That's right.
I don't think it's nature, it's Elokim.
Oh,
Beautiful. Beautiful. Chazak ve'ematz, shtiya baruch.
Wow, very nice.
So a couple of examples. We are just going to see two examples for this fundamental idea. You could see in the source 6. It says in the source 6, in the Masechet Pesachim, Kashim mezonotav shel adam keyekriat yam suf, v'yeparnasa, v'yefood,
Sustenance.
working for one's livelihood is even more difficult, like the Kriyat Yam Suf, like the parting of the Red Sea. So the question is why? What connection is Parnassah got to do with the parting of the Red Sea? It is two separate things. So the Rashbam says the Rashbam was the grandson of Rashi.
The holy Rashi.
That's right. And he says in the source 7, כלומר, נס גדול עושה לו הקדוש ברוך הוא למי שנותן לו מזונות, כאשר עושה לישראל שיקרא להם ים סוף. So the Rashbam says, the parting of the Red Sea was one of the greatest miracles. But also with that, when Hashem gives you bread, when Hashem gives you what you need, this is as great a miracle as the parting of the Red Sea. It is true that the parting of the Red Sea, it is a revealed miracle, that you could see it. But the Parnassah, it is a hidden miracle. So that is why we say in the Birkat Hamazon, in the grace after meals, we thank Hashem for the food that we eat. Because it is from this belief that what we have on our table, it is a miracle that Hashem gave it to us. We could see, unfortunately, that in the world where not everyone is able to have a food on the table. And the fact that we have it, it is a miracle, and then we have to be thankful for it. There's a story in the Talmud. It says in the tractate of the Tanit that at one time Rabbi Hanina ben Dosa, he saw that his daughter was very upset at after Shabbat came in.
Oh, is this because you didn't have any candles to light with?
That's right. So
Nice, Ezra.
So he asked her, why are you so upset? So she said, because that I by accident lit the Shabbos candles with vinegar. Now, vinegar, Shabbos candles aren't going to light very long with a vinegar instead of oil. So he said to her, what do you care? Whoever told the oil to light, he is going to tell the vinegar to light. And it says that the candles. What? It is in the Talmud. Of a Rabbi Hanina ben Dosa. That's right. So he said, whoever put the law in nature that oil is going to be a substance but is going to combust light, so he can do the same thing also with vinegar. And that is what happened. That this candle lit the whole Shabbat until if they were able to take from its flame to do Avdalah. So this is the story. So the idea behind the story is that also a candle that is lit by oil, this is also a miracle. It is just a hidden miracle that we don't understand, see it. because the nature itself is a miracle. So, after we understood this very important fundamental theme in Judaism, that nature is also a miracle, now we can answer all of the three questions that we began with. So the first question, it is a poem. Why do we call Purim Purim? So, if we want to understand the idea of the hidden miracles, the festival that expresses this in the greatest way is Purim. Purim is the festival of the hidden miracles, and that is why Purim is called Purim, because that Purim is a lottery. A lottery is a symbol of chance, and then one could think that the lottery is chance, but the truth is that Hashem brings everything to happen at the right time, at the right place. There is no such thing as chance. There is a pasuk in Proverbs that it says, "B'cheik yutal et hagoral u'me'Hashem kol mishpato." One could think that one throws a coin and that it is by chance, but the truth is that it comes from Hashem. So all of the Megillah is actually filled with the hidden miracles. And a Chazal ask, what clue could we have for Esther in the Torah? So it says in the Gemara that the answer is Anochi Haster Astir, meaning Esther is a similar to the Hebrew word seter, hidden. So in the scroll of Esther, all of the miracles are concealed, and one needs faith to discover them. So Chazal say that the book of Esther is a symbol to dawn. Why? So it says that since dawn is the end of the night, also Esther is the end of all of the miracles. So the question is, obviously, how could it be that Esther is the end of all of the miracles? What, there aren't any more miracles after the time of Esther? That's right, there are many miracles, but the answer is that it is, of course, that Esther is not the end of all the miracles. Esther is the end of
miracles.
what do you say?
The recorded miracles in the Tanakh.
That's right, the miracles that are revealed, the miracles like the parting of the Red Sea, okay? If you want to put a point in history of the Jewish people, when are the great miracles that everyone could see them, when do they end? Before Esther. But afterwards, from Esther onwards, it is actually the era of the hidden miracles. And why do Chazal say, why do they give the allegory of dawn?
Shachar.
That's right, why do they give this this allegory. So the answer is, if you light a candle in the night, everyone could see the light, right? What happens if you light the same candle at dawn? No one could see it. But it is the same candle, it is the same light, it is only our perspective changes. Our perspective of it, everything was dark, so we saw the light of a candle, and now it is dawn, everyone could see the light of a... no one could see the light of a candle, but the candle itself, it did not change. It is only our perspective that changes. The same thing, it is the miracles. It does not matter if it is nature, seemingly nature, or if it is the parting of the Red Sea. It is the exact same miracle. It is only our perspective that changes. If it's a revealed miracle, or if it's a hidden miracle. So, we asked also in the third question, we asked about why does it say that the people of Israel received the Torah freely, specifically on the Purim?
Because now there were no revealed miracles. Therefore, when there are revealed miracles, whether there's a mountain on you or not is irrelevant. Whether Haman's knife is to your throat or not is irrelevant. What's relevant is the miraculous, or the simplicity, not the simplicity, the ability to see the obvious miracle. When you see that, then it's not a choice. When you don't see it, it is.
Wow.
That's right. You beautiful, beautiful, Yeshua.
Deep.
What you said. The test of faith, when one sees great miracles, as the parting of the Red Sea, and the 10 plagues, and all the great miracles of the desert, one does not have a choice if it's to believe in Hashem or not to believe in Hashem. One sees the miracles, one doesn't have a choice. This is what it means, that the people of Israel, they were forced to receive the Torah. They weren't physically forced. They saw the miracles, so they didn't have a choice. Because if you see great miracles that happen, of course you are going to believe in Hashem. There is no other choice. The great a test of faith is that even when you don't see great miracles, when one could be confused to think that it is nature, chance, if then you believe in Hashem, this is from a free, you believe in Hashem freely. You believe in Hashem because that you choose to. And this is the idea of Purim. Hashem's name isn't mentioned even once in the Megillah. Because what one could say that everything is chance, okay? It just happened that Esther was picked to be the queen. It just happened that Mordechai was in the right place at the right time, and he heard Bigtan and Teres plotting to assassinate Achashverosh. It just happened that Haman came at the same time when Achashverosh had a nightmare and he couldn't sleep, and then he asked him the questions that he asked him. It just happened that a Charbona was there at the same time when Esther told Achashverosh what Haman was plotting. There is a series of events that could be explained by chance. This could be.
For sure.
But if one looks at the Megillah from the perspective of faith, one understands that there is no such thing as chance, that all of these events, there was someone who guided them, someone who navigated these events to happen. So, if one is able to see that, he is able to receive the Torah from his own free will. So that is why it says that specifically on Purim, Am Yisrael received the Torah from their own free will.
Oh, thank you, Rabbi. Very good. There's no chance.
Nature miracles, sea miracles, normal miracles, yeah. No joke.
So Purim it doesn't teach us just about the past. It teaches us specifically about the present. Purim guides us to search for the hidden miracles in our everyday life. One time, the Kotler Rabbi asked his students, "Where can you find Hashem?"
Everywhere.
So they said, "Everywhere." It says, "Maloch ol haaretz kvodo." Hashem is everywhere. So what the Kotler Rabbi said, you could find Hashem where you let him enter. So the question is,
Not everywhere. Anywhere.
that's right, where you
Subtle.
let Hashem enter. So the question is, if we can discover the hidden miracles in our everyday life. This is the question. So happy Purim, everyone. Happy Purim. Purim Sameach.
Samia, tzadikim.
חברים.